Hello and welcome to the Cutie Art Crusaders, episode 88 from March 11th, 2014. Another interesting date episode number combination. That's cool. We seem to be getting a lot of them this year. My name is Rainbow Plasma. I'm the organizer and host of this podcast, and today I'm joined by...
Burno One, I'm special guest coordinator, and this week I'll be editing stuff.
I'm FlutterGuy317, and I am the media manager for the podcast.
I'm Atmospark, and it is nice to meet you.
Moving forwards.
So Burned, it's funny because I always try to envision these episodes like they're the first one that people see,
Yeah.
and as arguably the most knowledgeable person in the subject that we're talking about, I love the fact that the people's first impressions would be like, that burnt.
Yeah. Like art and
Oh, well, I love
stuff.
It always starts
love
with like the big like inward gasp too. It's like
He thinks we don't know that it's a thing now.
yeah, it's every week. It's
But it's every
golden.
week, so it's a thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I was tired of being super proper when I introduced myself. It was like, oh yes, bird. I don't know. It got tiring, so now I just try to like do a goofy intro thing. I don't know stuff.
You know.
Yeah, routine can be sometimes. I use routine to remember everything, but routine, if it's not used to remember something, is kind of meh. So I can totally
I
understand
think
where
where
you're
it
coming from.
came from is one episode, like I wasn't ready, or I was like stretching or yawning or something, and it was like when I was doing the proper thing, and then randomly I just introduced myself as Burned. Like Burned.
Yeah, that's all you said.
It was like,
It was just all you said was your name, and then you were silent.
and then there was one guy on YouTube who was like, that was funny stuff. Like that was good. I like that.
And Burns just sitting there taking notes, like, oh yes,
Yeah.
comedy.
So it was just like from then on, I was like, you know what? Forget it.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna switch around these talking points really quick here, because I want to start out with something interesting that happened to me this week that has nothing to do with art and has nothing to do with ponies, but I thought was really cool, and it was something weird that normally I only hear happens to other people, but it happened to me, so I wanted to display it because it was a really interesting thing. So I was sitting before one of my classes, and I had about an hour break in between two of my classes. So I was just sitting down, surfing on my phone, like surfing Reddit or something, and when all of a sudden this guy who came up, he looked like he was like 24, 25, like a Flutter guy and Atmospark your age, like well shaven, well kept, and he sat down next to me and he said, "Do you have a minute or so? Like, do you mind having a conversation?" And I'm at a university, so generally speaking, that isn't exactly the rarest thing. So my first thoughts was either this guy's gonna talk to me about religious stuff, or he's gonna be doing a survey. Which I'm okay with both, and I don't mind talking to people about both. But instead of that, he sat down, and he said to me, I put away my phone, and he said to me, "What are you passionate about?" He just asked me that question, and I just sat there just like with like a dumb face on, being like, "What? What did you say?"
Did you say ponies?
Well, no. I talked to him about my passions and like what I'm doing and stuff like that, and it was really interesting because he was like really like genuinely interested in hearing about what made me tick, what I really enjoyed, what I didn't like. Just I don't know. He was the type of person who just wanted to learn other people's life stories. And so I talked with him, and I asked him about what his passions were about, and we talked back and forth for probably like 45 minutes until we both had to go to class. And it was one of the weirdest experiences, but it was also probably one of the most pleasant experiences I've had in a long time. There's something, I've told this to other people, and people have said like, oh, that would probably be creepy, or I would think that was weird, but there was something really, really genuine about this guy, like being there in the moment talking to him, the way that he was talking about stuff and just the questions he was asking, it was so genuine, like he actually was totally interested in what I was doing. Mm-hmm. It was really cool.
Only in Canada, man.
Yeah.
Like, I imagine, did
I don't
people
know,
make the generic, like, overly nice Canadian jokes? Because that's, like, the first thing I went to.
I don't know. He was just, and I was like surprised at how well he knew, because like I'm really into making video games, and so part of that is playing video games and being knowledgeable of video games. And he was like totally there with me, and I was like, oh, you must be in comp sci. He's like, no, I'm actually in physiotherapy. I like helping people, and part of helping people is learning about them, and so I'm passionate about learning about people's stories and stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say
yeah.
he must be some sort of like a psych major or something.
Yeah, he's in physiotherapy.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, it was so cool. And like I got to know about him and he got to know about me, and it was a really pleasant 45-minute conversation.
Huh.
And it kind of made my entire day, which was really awesome. So, John, wherever you are in the world, you are an awesome person, and continue doing what you're doing because you're going to go places, bud.
It's probably
Hey,
in
bud.
Canada.
There, that's the...
He
Hey,
said
John.
bud.
That's
That's
all I
pretty much
wanted
like
to-
the nicest thing you can say to someone in Canada. Pretty good.
It's true. It's true.
Hey, bud.
Want to go out
Yeah.
for a rip?
That's not
So-
true. Bud is a very
Yeah.
general term,
Yeah.
Bernd. Because it could be like, hey there, bud, or like, hey, bud, what you doing? Like,
Yeah.
come on now,
It's all in
bud.
the tone of bud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-
Actually, I would say bud is probably more of a negative because it's like a sarcastic thing, you know? I don't know. Anyways, we're getting to Canadian semantics.
Jokes aside and Canadian semantics also aside, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Like and it's something that you only ever hear happens to other people, you know? So like it happened to me and I was like, this is really cool.
I've seen cool, like, in videos, YouTube videos or whatever, where someone will go on the side of the street and be like, I'll pay you $1 to hear your life story or something like that, you know? So he just goes with
Yeah,
like a
it's kinda
stack
like
of
that.
like 50 ones and then just like starts giving people dollars for like their life story.
Wait. So what you're saying is I could have made a profit out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. He could have made a profit off of you.
No.
Oh wait, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
that's
You
what
could
I
have.
said.
You could have made
Giving me
a. Yeah.
All right. Anyways, it was a fun little story that I thought I'd share with some people. Maybe it'll inspire people to do the same. Although I don't know, this guy was pretty suave, so you'll have to be pretty suave to not come off as creepy. I
Tell
will
me your
admit that.
passions. How much are you willing to pay?
Yeah. My story is pretty long, so
Yeah.
you're gonna have to pay up like $10.
Now I want to tell people my life story.
Aw, burned. We'll talk life stories.
Started out that I liked horses.
No, later,
And then
not on
I vectored
podcast.
them
My
because
goodness.
they're pretty.
So our theme for this week is Burns' life story.
Yes.
Dear God. No, our theme this week is something else that I want to talk about really quick, and it
Yeah.
has to do with Canadianism as well, and I guess part of the states as well.
Canada.
But you know, it's March now. It's going to be March 11th when this airs. That's a wonderful time for spring to start everywhere except for apparently the northern half of the northern hemisphere, where it's decided it's going to stay at -15. So I just wanted to give a shout out to weather. You suck.
Also, all of the southern hemisphere because it's just going towards autumn.
Oh yeah, you guys are starting to get cooler. Of course, cool for you is still like 15 degrees?
Yeah,
Something like
15,
that.
Yeah.
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 So yeah.
That's all in Celsius, folks.
Yeah.
Alright.
It got really nice when you came to visit me. It was really nice for like a week. It was above freezing. The snow was melting, and then literally the next week, like the week that you left, it got really, really cold. Like I think it hit -15, -20 here. And
I would say that I brought the warmth with me
yeah, but you
because I'm just generally a heartwarming individual. But then I came back here and it's still awful. So
yeah. Well, it sucks because we had a lot of snow on the ground and whatever, and then it melted for that week, but we still have like 5 inches of snow on the ground, and now it's covered in ice because it melted. So it's like, ugh.
Did you just say ice? Well, isn't that relevant?
What do you know?
My goodness.
So our theme for this week is ice cold.
Because we couldn't decide between the two.
Yeah.
So it's both.
Yeah. So our first piece is called Release by Lox Tio, and it features King Sombra, who we don't really see that often, in an ice cube floating in it looks like a tropical sea of some sort.
Yeah.
Now, I don't speak Russian. And this is relevant because the description of this piece is in Russian.
Yeah.
But I have to imagine that if I were to put this into some sort of Google Translate, I would have to imagine this might have something to do with Ice Age.
Yeah, I would think so.
And I'm going to do that right now. So please go on. And I'm going to translate that and see if that comes out to anything to do with
So am
Ice
I.
Age, the movie.
So, oh yeah, it totally does because there's an acorn that's frozen in the. If you
It
didn't
doesn't
notice,
say anything about Ice Age.
Yeah, I can
but good
imagine
eye.
that
Yeah.
the acorn is definitely like a nod to that, a nod
Yeah.
to the whole Ice
Yeah.
Age thing, a little
Yeah.
Easter egg, if you will.
yeah.
Very cute.
But it's an acorn.
So for anyone who doesn't know, Ice Age was a movie done by I think it was it DreamWorks or was it Pixar?
Let me get my Googling fingers out.
Well, you're finding that. Basically, it's an animated movie about these creatures that are in the Ice Age, and they like decide not to migrate. And there's this one creature called Scrat, who's a squirrel. He's like he's got big fangs and stuff. He's like a prehistoric squirrel.
Yeah.
He's adorable.
Yeah, he's so cute.
Is
And
there
he's
really
got this.
anyone who doesn't know Ice Age?
I mean,
Non-Americans?
I hope not.
People who weren't born in early 90s / late 80s.
It's a really older. It's one of the first full CGI movies.
It came out in 2002, so a lot of people might not have been old enough to see it. So it's not exactly something that you. Well, I guess they've had sequels.
That makes me feel
Anyways,
old.
Anyhow,
who cares?
so-
It's a reference to that movie.
Yeah, so Scrat was a squirrel, and he had his acorn, and all he wanted to do was bury his acorn, and he couldn't because of various things. And so at the very end of the movie, there's a little Easter egg that
spoilers.
Scrat is spoilers. That Scrat is frozen in an ice cube, and his acorn is also frozen in the ice cube, and he can't get to his ice cube because it washes away to sea.
Can't get to his acorn.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. He can't get to his.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
he lost his ice cube in the Ice Age.
No.
Yeah. But yeah. So this is obviously a reference to that. The description, like Emma Spark was saying, doesn't really say anything about Ice Age, but that acorn is absolutely a reference.
Absolutely.
And I don't know. I mean, this is the reason why I brought up this theme, just because I just find this so funny and I love the reference, and it's actually really well done as well. You know, it's not just a funny little reference that someone did up quickly. It actually is really well done. I love particularly the water and the ice. Both of them are done in two different ways, but they both look great.
Quite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do
And the
like
beach.
I like the whole rolling waves effect that this artist has put into this piece. It kind of, I mean, it's almost faux realistic. I've seen paintings of waves and beach scenes and stuff like that have waves that look like this.
Yeah.
Almost kind of frozen in time, which it is because it's a picture, but yeah.
That wasn't even intentional, was it?
No, it wasn't. You caught me.
But yeah, no, the waves are definitely a really cool point. But even if we look at the water on the non-wavy part, even the way that the water is done, you can kind of imply from this the direction of the sun and how it kind of spreads out almost like a in the same kind of lines that a vanishing point might make towards the horizon. I don't know, it looks really pleasant to look at, even though it's a jumble of 6 or 7 different shades of green, blue, and white. It's really pleasant to look at, and it's such a complex looking water as opposed to some of the simpler ones with only a couple of shades of things, you know.
So brushy and painty. Like it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It looks like the beach is meant to.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
a lot of water doesn't look like
a lot
water.
of the piece. Yeah, a lot of the piece has got that kind of extra effort put in to it, where the artist hasn't just had one concept. They go back and they do 3 or 4 things to everything, you know, whether that be the ice and the different, depths of that and the different shades depending on where the lighting is coming from, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But even the trees that we see that are kind of framing and giving context to the piece, which is a great thing to talk about in itself. The fact that these trees that are just kind of peeking in give great context to it. But even those are done really well. They have a good 3 or 4 aspects to them and how they're colored and how they're made.
Yeah. I definitely do like the whole vanishing point thing that you brought up earlier, because it's kind of difficult, I think, when you're dealing with an actual horizon that's kind of not really there. Like when you're looking at the ocean and you're looking out over it, it's you don't really have a specific vanishing point. But the artist did a really good job of kind of taking this reflection of the sun and kind of giving it that perspective there.
Absolutely.
Also
Because if you go to the beach and you look out over the ocean, you can't really judge distance because there is no vanishing point, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
there's no references
flat.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I also thought it was interesting when you're talking about the horizon while we're on that subject, the fact that the artist chose to put the horizon not in the center of the piece. I think that can oftentimes be something that a lot of amateur artists do by default, where they place the horizon where it splits the top half and the bottom half evenly. And that's not always a good thing to do because unless you're focusing on the sky can actually be kind of boring. So it's interesting to kind of break up the piece in a different way, where it's kind of like 1/4 is the sky, and then the rest of it is the waves in the water and the ground.
Mm-hmm. Well, it definitely gives the piece a more closed-in feel, I guess, because it's kind of on a downward angle.
Right. Yeah.
So like we talked about a piece in the Cloudsdale episode, which was angled upwards, and because it was angled upwards, it had this big, vast feel to it. Whereas in this piece, we're kind of angled downwards. The sky is very minuscule, and you've also got this framing going on, so it's kind of all like clustered in there.
Yeah. Now, this piece is a prime example of it when you do things really right, people won't notice. Because if you were to look at this piece, you will look at it and be like, oh, this is really aesthetically pleasing. I like this piece. It looks pretty cool. That's a funny little reference to Ice Age. Favorite, move on to the next one. But like, if you really take a look like we're doing and go in depth with it, like, holy cow, is there a lot of thought put into this piece? Like, it's crazy. I mean, again, like, going back to the lighting, like, we don't see a sun in this entire piece, but you could probably take a guess of where it is just by a couple of visual cues. I love the way that they reflect the light using the ice. I like the way that they kind of made it look like a much more solid thing, a much bigger object, because light has a harder time getting through all of it. So you have to have direct sunlight to see through like the top little bit, but the bottom bit isn't getting as much sunlight, so it's darker. I love the way that kind of gives depth to the whole thing. Like there's just and then how the light reflects off the water and all that. There's so much effort and technique put into this piece that is there specifically so that at first glance you don't notice it.
Yeah. So this piece kind of begs the question, what did happen to Sombra after the Crystal Empire? And
he went into the bin of bad character ideas.
Yeah. Poor guy only had what, like 3 lines? 2 lines?
Are there Sombra lovers that are gonna hate me for saying that?
I like Sombra.
He was cool. His design just sucked.
I thought his design was good. You can eat it.
Yeah.
Well,
He looked a bit OC-ish, you have to
I
admit.
really dig the whole concept of like very ominous or gaslight characters. So the fact that it was just he was like an omniscient presence, like dark, almost cloudy-esque presence. I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I agree. That was his best part. I think his pony form was his worst aspect.
It was good.
The whole ominous thing,
Yeah.
his whole ominous thing, and the whole
He's a character. He has
kind of
armor.
gas thing was really awesome.
He looks like a king. His armor, which
I
was
guess.
cool. He has he has a horn thing that was like super.
Let me say, he looks fantastic in this piece.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like maybe that'll change my opinion when I
it's
look
fine.
at good artwork.
he's so
But
regal
in the
right
show
there.
style, he was less appealing to me personally.
He had everything short of Dragon Wings. 9 out of 10. Dragon Wings would have been 10 out of 10.
Now you're just trolling me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he is kind of an example of red and black done in an okay way. I mean,
Yeah, but it should have been good, not okay.
yeah. Well, like,
thought it was good.
I mean, I Am Not's OC is like a fantastic, like top of the line red and black.
Well, it's not red, and also he hates it, so.
Oh, well, in that case.
He doesn't hate it, he just wants to make... He made another one.
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. He was pretty regal and cool and stuff, except for the whole, being a bad guy. But...
Maybe if he was written better, I'd like him. But again, like, I don't know, like, I don't know. I liked a lot of his... I liked, like, the concept of Sombra, again, with, like, that whole omnipresent thing. That was really cool.
Mm.
But, I don't know, I just didn't like his character design when it came down to his pony form.
Crystals.
Seemed kind of silly.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyhow, so we're going to move on to our next piece.
Oh my god, I love this piece. No, you can't move on from this one. I like it. Look at the ice. I love it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Chill. Remember about this. Chill out.
So the second piece is called Simple Generous Gifts by Divinian, who specializes in these very large landscape pieces, which feature ponies as well. And in this piece, you see in the foreground Rarity and Sweetie Belle, and it's a wintry scene. There's ice skaters, and there's a cardinal. Snow is on the ground. It's just a really pleasant scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's definitely like the most complete quote-unquote piece that we have.
Divinian who specializes
in terms
in being
of
a boss.
Yeah, Divinian,
It's
I mean,
true.
we've had him on several times, or we've had his art on several
we go.
times. And it just kind of, we've shown him every single time as someone who does landscapes amazingly.
Yeah.
And he does really great, just general scenes, complete full backgrounds with lots of detail and character to them. He does a great job with those.
So really likes
Yeah.
Easter eggs.
He does like Easter eggs, but Burned, it's still snowing out. It can't be Easter. Come on
You
now.
don't know equestrian
This should be
like
standard.
calendar years, dates.
I mean,
I like the fact you're debating that, but you're not debating the fact that Easter might not exist in Equestria.
You don't know, man.
I would imagine that Angel would freak out if, like, they had chocolate bunnies that they ate and stuff.
Wait, do we eat chocolate bunnies on Easter? I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know what the equestrian equivalent of Easter is.
Yeah. Anyhow, so this Easter egg that you're talking about, it's Pinkie Pie, right?
Or is it the Snowdrop?
Whoa,
Or is it
whoa,
Lyra?
you're blowing my mind here.
Ah,
Okay, there's Lyra.
yeah.
Or is it the police
And
box in
there's-
the background?
Yeah, right.
Oh.
Or is it that little flag of something that's off in the very bottom right, that little pink thing?
Yeah, I'll try to look
Oyster
that. Try to look
something
that
or
up.
Yeah,
other.
I'm not really sure what that is.
It has a little pony looking up at a big pony.
Was it the Sister Who's social
Could
thing?
be. A nod to
oh,
Rarity
yeah,
and
it
Sweetie
looks-
Belle.
Mystique, mystery. I love it.
Oh my
It's
god.
good.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Takes
That's
quite
awesome.
the pony knowledge to know what it is.
There's some sort of there's a bunch of little things that he puts in the background. I mean, as an artist, someone who's making this big scene, because that's what this thing is. It isn't just an art piece. It's a scene that they're setting up. You kind of have to have fun with it, right? I mean, like you're putting all this effort into making it look like a scene that we're supposed to be taking in. Why not populate it with fun little things that you think are interesting, like adding a Lyra in there, and whatever pony that is beside Lyra.
Bonbon?
No.
It is Bonbon. Yeah, look
No.
at her cutie mark.
Yeah.
It's just Bonbon in
Bonbon.
a different light.
Yeah.
In a really
Bonbon
really
Lyra,
light,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really.
Well, oh, I see. Yeah, wow, the lighting is really.
You have
Yeah.
to.
I had to zoom
you
in
have
all
to
the
get
way.
the image, make it big, and like zoom in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's-
Good point. Thank you for noting that. Okay, well that makes more sense because when it's small, it looks brown. Yeah, so you got that. You got like the Pinkie Pie floating up and the balloons in the top left. You got to add it. You got to add in these things because otherwise, I imagine that that probably doesn't get boring. But you get what I mean.
It's the small touches in a piece like this that is this huge, grandiose, vast landscape piece. It's the small things that really make it for me. I think my favorite part of this piece is the little red cardinal on the right that's like being shown in the street light there. Like, that's easily my favorite little touch over like everything else. I love the little red cardinal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a speck of color because like the piece itself. I mean, there are splotches of color like Rarity's main, Speedy Well's main, but there's a lot of it that's silhouetted and a lot of it that's kind of desaturated. So just that little splotch of red right there, and the little pink from the Sister Who social
Really sticks out.
banners. Yeah, it's really nice. And yeah, I mean, Divinian, we featured a piece by his, I can't remember what it was called, but it was with Lyra and Bonbon in the park, and that was also full of Easter eggs. So he does put these like little touches into the piece. And
There's a more technical
Yeah,
term than Easter egg. Don't think there is.
surprises? I don't know. we'll go with it for now.
Give me a second to go to thesaurus.com. Cutie Art Crusaders Google.
So something that I really enjoy that Divinian has done in this piece is the way that he has presented smoke, and also just kind of the whole background with the clouds in general, because it's very, very loose and brushy.
Mhm. I really like that texturing on the moon.
Yeah, and the whole like fact that the clouds are surrounding the moon, and they're really light and airy, and they kind of obscure the stars a little bit. It kind of gives it a really, really nice atmosphere.
Are they stars or is it snow?
Huh?
We don't know. We don't know.
It is both.
It's both.
It's probably snow because the clouds are. It's pretty cloudy outside.
I definitely think it's snow because if you look at the mountains, there's little specks of what look like stars. But it's one of those things where when we see it, we could think stars or we could think snow, and I mean whatever we think looks better, we'll probably make it out to be. But
I like the ambiguity. You're right.
Like the ambiguity is there, but it's definitely meant to be snow because it's a snowy piece and there's lots of specks on things. There's even one like a snowflake right in our focus down by the river there. I mean, it's right, like the snow is really close to us, and I like that touch because it gives us a kind of a depth to the snow. It's also one in the top left.
Yeah, good job with the depth of focus there. My goodness,
Yes.
like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Carousel Boutique, by the way, has never looked better.
Yeah. That looks
Like,
fantastic.
holy cow. Like, if we're going to talk about any one thing in particular in this
I don't
piece,
know. Are we going to
that's
talk
gotta
about
be
the
right up
boutique?
there.
We can talk about that tree. I'm liking that tree, lighting on those
that tree-
branches. Top notch.
Well, it's true, but I mean, just like, I don't know, when I look at the individual pieces of the boutique itself, you know, when I look at like the front windows and how the light comes out of those, it's just like a whole new level of detail, and how just all of it's got such detail to it, and it doesn't look out of place in this scene at all, which is really the kind of mark of a really great artist, is the fact that they can have these two kind of things, that one of them's super detailed, one of them's kind of cartoony. They're all related to each other, but not quite, but you can't really notice. They all fit together really well.
Yeah.
I really like how brushy it is too, like in the lighting in the bottom.
Jinx.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like how he's done snow on the roof of Carousel Boutique, because it's not just like a flat piece of snow. There's like ripples in it and stuff.
So much depth.
Yeah.
Urgh.
So depth.
These pieces, they're going to be the end of me.
So something that we mentioned earlier is the lighting in this piece, and that is done absolutely fantastically. Every single lamppost gives off a very warm yellowish light, and in this piece that also kind of changes the colors of things around it. So like we mentioned with Bonbon, she's kind of an off shade because of this light, which you would expect with like old incandescent bulbs, because they give off a really, really warm feeling light. But it's also like coming out of the Carousel Boutique windows and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Just it's kind of an old timey feel to it too, because well, incandescent bulbs and stuff.
Yeah, and then you've got the moon giving off this really cool light of everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like the mountains and even a lot of the snow itself is that cool light, and then it's the contrast between the two lights.
Mm-hmm.
It only really comes together in certain places, though, like on the park bench, or on the Carousel Boutique snow, like on that roof, or in the tree. Yes, burned. They don't come together very often, I suppose. But yeah, they go together really well. I think again, like you could have the two light sources and separate them completely and be like, oh, that's good. And then you take it to another level when you then mix them.
Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Divinian.
I also really like how Divinian has portrayed ice in this piece, because we are talking about ice in this theme.
Nice.
Yeah. Did you see the connection? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So there's a little bit of ice in this river. Actually, the whole river might be frozen, and it is frozen. And there's kind of snow along the side of it. And then if you look over to where there's ponies skating, it's all kind of like scribbled on, scratched up and stuff, like a natural skating place would be after being skated on. So
Right.
But it's also, because the snow is so poofy and fluffy, and the ice is so kind of flat, it definitely gives it kind of a separation there. So it's really well done. Yep.
I just wanted to compliment, before we move on, I just wanted to compliment Divinian on his character work, because I know he's always been very strong with these backgrounds and these kind of general scenes. But I know that near the beginning, at least, of his pony work, it was hard to kind of integrate the characters into the scene. And he's done a really good job of it within the last year, of taking that kind of stuff and bringing it up to the same level as his background. So good job to him for doing that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Also, there's a narrative going on between the two characters I didn't really notice until I got up close and looked at them. But it looks like Rarity's giving Sweetie Belle her scarf. That's her magic on the bottom tip of the scarf, and she's pulling it off of her neck with her teeth.
Aww.
Didn't notice that.
Or maybe she's taking it away. Get your filthy hooves off of my
No,
scarf.
Sweetie Belle, you cold.
My rare cold is silk.
You don't
You're
deserve
sleeping
to be
outside
warm.
tonight.
Also, speaking of like little touches, if you look in the tree next to the Carousel Boutique, there's a green scarf wrapped in, or like a green something wrapped in the branches. So I mean,
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
could
mention
just
that, I
be
just didn't
finding
know.
narrative, but like her scarf could have blown away. I don't know.
Oh.
Burn. I mean, the wind's going a weird direction, but
Wind
I
picks
like
up
your
enough,
thought
but yeah.
process.
No,
Yeah.
I
like
I
your
do
thought
like the point you
process.
made though, with like how well his characters are rendered. It's a really nice juxtaposition of the really well rendered characters, and then things in the background being like really sketchy and like messy rendered, and stuff like the snow where it's like really loose brushwork, and then he has these really like nicely done characters. It's, I don't know, it's an awesome feel, or to have both of those. I don't know, that I really enjoy. I don't know where I was going with that, but
And again, they fit in. They just fit in seamlessly.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
great.
it's interesting because they are done in a slightly different style than the background. And even if you look at the background ponies, or the ponies that are in the background, they're done in the style of the background, where they're completely lineless. Whereas the focal point / foreground ponies, Sweetie Belle and Rarity, have this line work on them, and they're a little bit more defined.
Also the
It's-
bridge.
yeah, it's where the rendering really matters, and where it's really tightly done, where we're gonna look and pay attention to that detail, like in the characters of Rarity and Sweetie Belle that are in the foreground, is where we really look and notice, and then sort of like fill in everything else to where, but it's still done incredibly well in the background. But it's the areas that need to be well rendered that are in the piece like this. And also the pieces that the artist chooses to render are the areas we're gonna notice and, actually look at. So like we're not gonna incredibly scrutinize the snow below Carousel Boutique and stuff. Like we see that, and it's like all the color and stuff's done really well, but it's the rendering and the characters and how tightly it's done really makes it.
Yeah. All right, so we do have to move on to our next piece, which is called Freezing Depths by Otaku AP. And this piece shows Scootaloo falling through water. I guess she crashed through the ice. And Rainbow Dash is kind of trying to come and rescue her from underneath the water. And Rainbow Dash is kind of... there's this big explosion of ice above her, and yeah. It's a big dramatic scene.
How you doing, Bright Eyes?
So Otaku AP, longtime fan, longtime fan of the show. But the reason why I really wanted to have this one in here, and the reason why we chose it in the end, was a lot to do with the concept of it, and the kind of the angle of this piece, because that's what really stands out the most to me. I haven't seen any other pony piece that has done this kind of like interesting looking angle from below and underwater. Like all of this is underwater, but we see the break in the ice, and we see the motion through the water around Rainbow Dash. We see the air bubbles in the water. It's a very interesting concept, and I really wanted to bring it up because it's super fascinating to me. Because again, I haven't seen anything like this in a pony piece, so that's a really awesome conceptual thing that you did there, Otaku.
Yeah, I mean, just the whole like initial concept of the piece is kind of something that's rather unique. I think in the art of pony world, and I mean, this is done actually really well, and like you were talking about the motion. I mean, we can definitely see how Rainbow Dash is kind of crashing through the ice. There is this kind of stream of oxygenated water kind of going past her because she's just jumping in to save Scootaloo.
Yeah.
There is kind of this diagonal angle that she's going at. It's rather slight, but I mean, there's a lot of things that are really going well for this piece.
Yeah. But it shouldn't have been too extreme of a diagonal angle, because I like the kind of angle that he's chosen, because it really makes you feel like you're looking back and looking up at this.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like you're looking at it from the side, because I've seen a couple of conceptual things where they go at it from the side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like the top of the piece is kind of like parallel with the surface of the ice. But this one, with the combination of how you see the ice is like directly in front of you, perpendicular to your view, it really makes you feel like you're looking right up at it, and that, based on your depth perception, there isn't too much of an angle there.
Yeah. I like how Otaku has done the ice in that it's just a very silhouetted kind of jagged shape to it. And where the ice is broken, obviously you're seeing sky, so it's a lot brighter and clearer and stuff. Which I guess if there's snow on top of the ice, or if the ice is not really that clear, that's exactly how it would be.
Yeah. And I mean, he's obviously chosen to make the entire piece really dark, which lends itself to the mood, and it lends itself to this aspect of the water being very deep. It conveys that to the people who are looking at this piece, that obviously the farther you get down in the water, the darker it's going to be, the deeper you're going, right? So he does kind of give you that feeling that this water is an intimidating thing. Scootaloo shouldn't be here. Like, she's way too far down. It's way too closed off. There's a reason why it's dark down here. It also gives him a chance to use the lighting in an interesting way. But like, even the darkness, if you look at the piece itself, the top bit of Scootaloo, her head and stuff, is lighter than her tail,
Mm-hmm.
because she's getting down to a point where even she's starting to fade out a little bit because she's getting so deep.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that he extended that kind of sense of darkness to around the hole in the ice, because it gave the overall piece a different sense, and it felt much deeper to me.
Yeah.
In terms of the water depth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that goes also back to the whole exposure thing, which we can talk briefly about, which is, if you're taking a picture pointed outside of something inside, your windows are going to be like really, really bright, because you're exposing just to the brightness of the room or whatever.
Yeah, I think people
so,
can kind of get what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's not really the best description. But anyhow, in this piece, there's a certain exposure level that's set to kind of the darkness of the water at the depth that Scootaloo is at. So, if we were looking at this piece and the exposure was set so that you could actually see details outside of the ice, Scootaloo would be just kind of a silhouette. But in this case, Scootaloo is very, like, you can see the details in her, and Rainbow Dash as well. So, yeah.
Hey, you two. Yeah, you two. Burned. Atmos Park. What's up? What do you think about the piece?
I like the way that he's made Ramadash's eyes really, really, really bright
Mm-hmm.
to stand out like that. Like, you can see how determined she is to reach her fallen friend.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like, normally if you're just thinking about lighting and whatnot, the eyes shouldn't be really reflected like that. But in this case, I think it's more towards the emotion and the expression.
Exactly. There is fire in her eyes.
Yeah. Which is kind of the beauty about art, is that you can do these things that aren't really natural to get more points across, like expressions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Awesome.
That's the one thing that like really stuck out to me about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even notice that.
How did you not notice it? It's like the brightest thing in the whole piece.
I was more focused on the conceptual. I was being so deep. Come on,
Distracted.
give it to me this time.
All right, just chill out.
Distracted by my cool glasses.
I like I like your points on conceptual. I think that's good. I also like Joel's point, or Atmo's point, on the how like bright the eyes are, because it does really draw your attention there, considering it's the brightest thing overall. I also like the choice that Otaku went with the lighting, which you already mentioned. Like kind of setting the tone of everything and that distinct value on like pretty much everything else. And this is like the slight silhouette on Scootaloo also really like tends to show how deep she is. I also enjoy the bubbles that are placed everywhere. I feel like that gives another sense of depth and, you know, submerging in water, because there isn't much to say that we are underwater other than the given lighting and like said bubbles and stuff like that. Because Otaku just went for a piece that is dull, but the color and tone of being underwater isn't actually affected. So in some pieces, when they choose to be underwater, like they'll like physically shift the colors to like a darker blue or violet or whatever. But color in this isn't, you know, it's not being affected. It's just things are a darker value rather than like a deeper blue. And fun fact, the reason why things underneath water are actually more blue than things above water is blue, since it's a very short, long something wavelength. I don't remember. Since it's a longer wavelength, I don't remember. The wavelength that's the opposite of red. It can't go through water, so only the deepest like blues and like the color spectrum can reach areas underwater, which is why things look blue, because it's the only light
Blue
that
is
can
the
pass
short.
through things. So
Blue is the short wavelength.
yes.
Yes.
So things like red and warmer colors will be cut out because they can't reach that deep underwater.
It's also what light sensors will see blue light.
Right.
All right. So we're going to move on to our last piece, which is called Forest Song by Sophie Cabra. And this is a piece of Luna at night in the snow in a forest. It looks like maybe some sort of city in the background, maybe Canterlot or something. So this piece is done completely by Sophie Cabra. When she does acrylic pieces, she works with her friend Kenket, and I think, does she do the sketching?
Sophie
and
Cabra
Kenket
does all the line work and like drawing, and then her friend Kenket does all the traditional painting.
Yep. So this piece is done completely by Sophie Cabra, in a I believe it's a digital medium. And it's really nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's very analogous, color wise. So it's basically all blues and purples and stuff.
Good call.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all just waiting for Burn to pounce.
I know.
Or like holding back, like just like hiding underneath our like little rocks, like waiting for Burn.
I'm tired today.
Because-
I don't have too much to share about things. It's hard to find.
But you
it's
really
hard to
liked
find
this
points.
one because it was
My voice hurts.
Digital.
I do really enjoy this one. I'm glad we got to feature it because we featured Sophie Carver, I don't know, a handful of times, but it's always been the collaboration between her and Ken Cat. And like even like her pieces that we got in BronyCon were like painted like collaboration pieces. I think I managed to. Ted, you left with oh, there's me. That's right over there. Hello. I got a traditional Fluttershy sketch. So a lot of times when people see Sophie Carver, they always know her as that painter who does, the awesome pony paintings and squares and stuff, where it's the collaboration between the two of Sophie Carver and Ken Cat. So it's nice to be able to feature just her work, and it's really nice. I really enjoy this piece. It's something I was pointing out why I really enjoy this as like a whole completed piece is how she uses colors like over other colors, because there's tons of like layering and how she's using, the analogous color scheme. So areas that are showing shadow or showing snow or differences in shade on like the trees, it's all just like slight hue shifts and slight color shifts and slight value shifts. So like some of my favorite parts are the shadows that the trees cast on the snow. Like it's just a deeper shade of blue, right? And then the shadows curving around the trees, it's just a slightly lighter shade of blue kind of painted in on the edges. And it's the same deal in the shadow and values on Luna, like in her hair and on her person. It's, it's not just putting like a layer of black over things to make it darker. It's like shifting the value slightly and the color slightly darker, slightly deeper, slightly more violet, more blue, whatever. And then painting that color.
But it's all kind of subtle.
Yeah, and it is very subtle. That being said, the snow is actually like a very light shade of like light blue, and then painted over things like on like the snow sitting on top of Luna and on top of the trees. That is like showing transparency. So
yeah. I've always been a fan of really analogous pieces, and I mean this one, minus a couple of points, is almost exclusively purple and blue. So I mean that's almost as analogous as you can get. And I think Luna's usually pretty good at having those pieces. She's a pony that people seem to like to surround with similar colors. Part of that comes from the fact that she represents night and therefore represents the colors of the night. So she's often placed in nighttime scenarios and things like that. But she seems to be a standout among ponies in terms of this kind of number of analogous pieces. And I guess she's also a fan favorite, so I'll see more in general.
Yeah. So going to Bern's point about the shadows is interesting because this kind of method is it's a hard shading method where like you can kind of definitely see where the shifts are in the value and saturation of the colors. And it's kind of interesting that Sophie Capra had basically two different, depths of shadow for Luna, where you have like a lighter dark blue, and then within that you have a darker dark blue, just kind of giving the shadow a little bit more depth to it. I think. But
I don't think I know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But just like those little touches of shading, and like also Luna's mane kind of really stands out to me because there's these little accents of lighting on them, and it really gives the whole thing a kind of a 3D feel to it, almost bubbly in a way. Just because these little accents of lighting are in such that it's how the moonlight would reflect off of a very 3D mane.
Also like the slight touches of transparency in her tail, where the tree starts showing through, because it's not completely transparent, but partly transparent.
Yeah, very slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that describes this entire piece. Very slightly.
You can see it in a mane as well. It's only on the dark blue part.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because that's kind of that's right.
Yeah.
That's canon.
Yeah. All right. So anyhow, we have to wrap up.
We have to winter wrap up.
All right.
Revenge is sweet.
All right, well, I'm just going to jump straight into questions then. If that's all you've got.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Any more ice puns before we jump into the question?
Nah, the cold never bothered me anyways.
Fair enough.
I mean, I think we've used up all of those ice puns, and I think the pun fanatics just need to chill a little bit.
Yeah, it's true.
What about move on before I stab you with an icicle? Is that a pun?
Oh my god!
Just let it go already.
Go ahead.
Okay. Alright, no need to kick my ice about it. Alright. You can be 4 elements.
Oh my-
Which one? Fire, water, earth, or air? Why? Sent in by Brony. I think that's how you pronounce that.
What about ice?
Yeah,
How
that's
about that?
water.
Can that be the fifth element? Ice?
That's water.
Is it ice?
Ice is water.
Frozen water.
No. I'm.
Yeah.
I guess it is. Oh, I guess this is the airbender thing, right? So, but wait.
Can I get-
Ice is like I don't know airbender enough, but isn't ice like only special waterbenders can bend ice?
Does it have to be about the airbender? I mean, it
Well,
could just be.
fire. I guess not.
Yeah,
But
it's
I'm trying to relate it back to ice. So in airbender, I believe only special waterbenders
Avatar,
can bend
but
ice.
you know,
yeah.
Right.
Right. That's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, Avatar, the last airbender.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
Fire for me.
but you make
Yeah.
ice puns.
Yeah, but I like fire.
I was gonna try and relate this back to the Fifth Element, the movie, but I did.
Get out.
It's-
I don't know. I feel like fire is really destructive, and as much as that would be cool, it wouldn't have like a really good practical use. And there's like water everywhere, so I would say water.
You'd heat your food.
I would say water.
Yeah, I mean, like, fire is really just air in a plasma form. So.
Oh, shut up.
I'm gonna go with water as well.
Pick one. All right, water as well.
Yeah.
Burnt.
I've never been super
You're a Pegasus.
entranced with fire.
You're a Pegasus.
I am Pegasus. I don't know.
I can be a phoenix.
I don't have argument things of why elements are better.
Burned as dirt.
I want to be different. I don't know.
Burned is the fifth element, which is derp.
Yes. Can
Oh, no,
I make a
it's-
new element?
No, the fifth element is Millie Jovovich.
Yeah. Multipass.
Oh, I'm gonna go with that one. I want to be Millie
So
Jovovich.
how's that?
You're gonna be-
Next question.
Next question. What art medium would you like to experiment the most? Sent in by Kirid25. Which, we know that guy.
Hi,
Karen. Ah.
What art medium would you like to experiment with the most? The art of making games.
That is an art,
There you go.
technically
Answered it.
speaking.
I win. First prize to me.
If we're gonna go with traditional painting arts,
Well, no, that's not traditional painting arts. Is its own medium.
well, yeah.
Go on.
All right, I'm gonna say watercolors because it always seems really interesting to me how the water interacts with the paints,
Colors?
yeah, the pigments.
There you go.
Yeah, and within the paper and stuff like that. And I don't know. I've seen some really really cool effects with watercolors. So I don't think I would be really good at it. But I would love to try and play around with it.
Yeah, I agree. I would also really, really, really love to be able to do watercolors really good. So that would be mine as well.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Fair
Digital? Yeah.
Okay.
Digital. I actually just had a conversation with I am not this morning. He was asking me like what kind of stuff I want to do if I was gonna move into like trying digital stuff. Like I find myself escaping from school, which is art, and then playing like games and junk. So when I'm at my computer, I don't want to draw like digitally. But it'd be something I'd like to know how to do or do well because I always see digital art. It's like ponies. Like I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
Right now I'm
Right, because your schoolwork is mostly like more
it's
traditional,
all
right?
traditional. Like right now I have
Right.
a blank 5 foot by 5 foot canvas that I have to put something on by the 20th. That's gonna be fun. So I've
Just put a
been doing a lot
giant-
of traditional painting and drawing and
just do a giant like picture
finish
of
that
your
sentence.
face.
Oh.
well, you were going for Zach or something.
Yeah.
But never mind.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
you know.
no. Don't talk about Zach. Come on.
No, sorry.
It's not.
I'll show up
It's too soon.
Yeah.
Too soon.
This isn't a time for Zach.
Too soon. Oh my god.
Um,
All right. Well, speaking of finishing things, we got to finish this pod. I was so close. I was so close. I almost had an out. All right. We have to finish this podcast. So why don't we get into plugs?
Alright, so deal with it while I've got us always. We have a DeviantArt account, our DeviantArt page, also an account, which is cutieartcrusaders.deviantart.com. Go there and click around and do stuff, click on things. We have a Twitter account, which is at Cutie Art Crusade, Facebook, which is Cutie Art Crusaders on Facebook, and an email, which is cutieartcrusaders@gmail.com. Send us everything you can think of.
Well, that seems excessive.
I mean, art and stuff and questions.
Yeah, those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, compliments, please. Jingle,
Please.
jingle, jangle.
Tell me I'm pretty.
Compliments, please.
That's not even an ice reference. Come on now. You're not even trying.
Oh,
Someone tell me I'm pretty.
Okay.
Joel,
Well then.
your voice sounds terrible. I'm sorry.
That's not telling me I'm pretty.
That's almost like saying you're pretty.
It's very close.
You are less ugly than your voice.
So, speaking of pretty things, our theme is right here. I don't know what it has to do with being pretty, but, you know,
Can we
theme.
make it a decisively ugly theme?
We should have
We'll
an
see.
ugly
Great.
art theme.
We should.
Oh no, that's mean.
It's not
That's
mean.
not the
Ugly
point of
art
the
like
show.
something
is
that
good
is.
art. Some of the
Yeah,
best
like-
art,
No.
like my favorite art, is inherently ugly things.
I know, but it's got a.
My teacher
it's got
once went
mean
on a huge
connotation
rant
to
that
it.
inherently ugly art is some of the most important art ever, like stuff like Picasso and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for watching. Whether or not you're on the live stream or on YouTube, we love you all the same. We'll be back next week, and also there'll be a spoiler cast right after this podcast. So if you want to hear our opinions on the new episode of Pony, then you can stick around and listen to that. Other than that, we will see you next week, and that's everything. I hope you guys enjoyed the ice episode, Ice Ice Baby. Dun, 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 dun. All right.
Get us removed off YouTube.
Whoa, copyright. Yeah. My name is Rainbow Plasma,
I'm burned.
I'm Photoguy317.
I'm at Lost Park.
and I don't have an ice pun for the end.
Everybody,
See you next week.
chill.
No, you already did that. Doesn't count.
Ice to beach.
God damn it, Smart. Hello, and welcome to the 16th Spoilercast done by the Cutie Art Crusaders for Season 4 of My Little Pony. My name is FlutterGuy317, and today I am joined by Rainbow Plasma
Why are you still numbering these?
and Atmospark.
Hi.
Today we're going to be spoilercasting Season 4, Episode 17, Some Pony to Watch Over Me, which is a very Apple family, well, not really family, but Apple
It's Apple-esque.
Bloom and Applejack. So-
Apples!
Yeah. And there's pies in it, you know.
Yeah, it's a couple of
A lot of apples.
Spelt P-A-H.
Pa.
Pa.
Pie.
Apple
Pa.
pa.
Yeah, so in this episode, Granny Smith has to go and see, I guess, Aunt Pineapple, which
I
is
didn't
pretty
get that
funny.
pun until you pointed it out to me.
Yeah. And Applejack and Big Mac have to go make deliveries to towns that are far off in
The corners of hell itself, apparently.
Yeah. Which is interesting because, like, we've seen Applejack selling her wares / pies at, like, local venues and stuff, but we haven't seen them take on deliveries before.
Yeah. I would have loved to have all of this go down, and then it would do one cutaway to Big Mac, and like they were playing something like Sunshine Lollipops, and like he's like skipping through like a field of flowers and like small woodland creatures are around.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Hasbro, please.
Why would they? I was trying to figure out why would they deliver freshly baked pies instead of the apples to make the pies, which would last longer, and you could eat the apples.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain those pies are pretty gross by now, but
Yeah.
they don't seem to have the best knowledge because they eat swamp casserole before.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, they're well-worn pies. There's something in there.
I guess they have to
don't
go
know.
Maybe
through
they
the
just
fire
put, like,
hell to get there.
Maybe they
so
put like the
it'll still be warm.
crappiest apples in there.
Oh, actually, no, that's a good point, Joel.
Yeah.
Maybe like the pies weren't cooked, and Apple Bloom going through the fiery fields like cooked the pies or something. I don't know.
Anyways, back to the beginning of the episode.
Yeah. So Applejack and Big Mac are off, and Granny Smith is off, and that means that Apple Bloom gets to stay home alone. And they all decide that they think she is mature enough to do that. Except Applejack has a bit of a problem with that because she can't let go of
She kind of freaked
her
out a little bit.
sisterly ways. Yeah.
Mama
Yeah.
Jack.
Yep.
Holy cow! Did Applejack ever go mother mode this episode?
Apple
Oh, yeah.
Mama.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're basically on their way to deliver the pies, and Applejack snaps and like decides she's gonna fall back and go check on Apple Bloom one last time, and then
Never
Apple
leaves.
Bloom, yeah, Apple Bloom is like doing everything perfectly. She's like, in charge of all the chores. She's doing all the chores, and then all of a sudden, like, Applejack bursts in and spaghetti falls
Spaghetti
out of.
flies
There
everywhere.
was literal
Falls out of
spaghetti
Apple Bloom's-
everywhere.
My
Yeah.
face when my sister comes home early and I'm dancing on the table.
Yeah,
See, it's funny because that entire situation where she was super excited to like be alone and like do all this stuff when she's at home is like exactly how I felt when that first
I
happened to
think
me
that's how
like years and
everyone
years
felt
ago.
when that first happened.
Mhm.
Like there's always that moment, there's like that seminal moment in like everyone's childhood where they get to be alone in the house for the first time and they all do the same stupid things where they're like, I'm gonna do everything that I couldn't do before, and then you're like, well, these are all stupid, so I guess I'll just do what I normally do. But like there's definitely a point where every single person has stood or sat on something they weren't supposed to just because they can.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I definitely stood on a table at some point just because I could.
Yep.
And it seems like Apple Bloom was kind of going with that mentality as well.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
spaghetti.
Well, because yeah, so many jokes can be made with that.
So much spaghetti too. Like there was one on the table that went flying and hit her in the head when Applejack came back.
Yeah.
And then she opens the fridge and there's a second bowl of spaghetti.
And it fits so perfectly, like the two times that Apple Bloom like got embarrassed or walked in on by Apple Bloom or Applejack was when the spaghetti happened. So,
Perfect use of pasta.
yeah. So basically, Applejack sees Apple Bloom covered in spaghetti, decides that she can't be left alone, can't be trusted to be alone on her own, and mother mode kicks in.
Hover mode kicks in.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yep.
Pillows on rakes.
Yeah.
Helmets on head.
Helmets on helmets on head.
helmets. Yeah.
Shoe on head.
That was a spectacular montage of Apple Bloom trying to do these things to prove to Applejack that like she's mature enough and stuff and can handle things. And
Boom.
helmet at the end.
Yeah.
So good.
I mean, like, it makes sense given the fact that, like, the whole, like, family situation, it would, like, that kind of, it's natural that she would step up into that, like, motherly role. I guess she just went a bit insane.
Yeah.
She seemed, when, I don't know, it's the same kind of reaction that a lot of parents have the first time that they leave their kids alone. So I guess just because she was, like, the surrogate mother of Apple Bloom, she went a bit insane because she wasn't expecting it or ready for it.
I love how Big Mac wanted nothing to do with it too. At the beginning, like when they're heading off, Applejack is like all worried and stuff, and she's like, should I go check on Apple Bloom? And he's like, nope.
Yeah, well, I mean, like in that whole scenario, they were playing it like stereotypical mom, stereotypical dad, right?
Yeah.
Like that. I can imagine the same thing where like My parents were pretty good. They were just like, yeah, you can be left alone in the house. Here's the rules.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're confident that you can do that. But like, it's the same thing in anything. Like the mother always worries a little bit too much, and then the dad goes, nah, they'll be fine.
Yeah, it's
Just
about
don't worry
right.
about it.
I always had
Yeah.
that freedom when I was a kid as well.
Yeah. So I mean, like, it's just it's just stereotypical mom dad kind of thing. It just is funny because they all happen to be siblings.
Yeah. Well, and I think too the fact that like probably Big Mac saw Applejack growing up and like how that whole situation played out. The kind
Yeah,
of
she seems to
same
be doing fine.
same scenario. So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Apple Bloom has her two friends over, the Cutie Art Crusaders, and they're trying to hatch up this plan to like get Applejack to leave, and leave them alone. And
Barely.
so they decide that Apple Bloom needs to escape, and that Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo are going to pose as Apple Bloom, which
Totally makes
interesting.
sense because they
Yeah.
all look the same, right?
oh yeah, no,
All
I mean, I
all
couldn't
need
tell
is
the
a bow,
difference.
and lucky they've got heaps of those.
Yeah,
I wasn't
mean,
affair that the bow also. Did I just say affair as opposed to swear?
yeah,
I wasn't aware that the bow also did camouflage.
yeah, I know, right? Like,
good.
surprised that the Sweetie Belle's horn didn't give her away. Or...
I like the fact that when Applejack opened the closet, Scootaloo was most definitely still wearing the bow.
Yeah.
yeah,
So at some point in there, I imagine she was just like, "Oh, I look so pretty.
yeah.
Look at me and my bow."
Which
We
when
need,
Applejack opened the closet, Scootaloo was so small in the closet.
I
He
know.
was teeny. He was a teeny little.
Yeah, teeny Scootaloo, scooted teeny.
No.
No,
Unicycle.
we need we need art of Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle in bows. I've already seen one piece. And
Nah,
it's adorable.
I disagree.
Aw.
Hey, that bunny suit
But,
was
like, this-
huge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it
true.
was.
This entire episode, and I think the best part about this episode, like, I think the concept of it was like okay at best, and like it wouldn't have been anything spectacular. But I think the writing in this episode, especially like the comedic writing, was really, really good. I found the episode to be like really, really self-aware, but they did it in like a really nice way, and I liked it a lot. Like, there was that whole song thing where he
Yeah.
attempted to do a song, and then they cut it halfway. They're like, "No, this is no time for a song." And then there's that comment that Scootaloo made, which is like, do what Apple Bloom does for everything with sass. You know, like it seemed like, there's a lot of looks at the camera, and this episode seemed very self-aware, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Apple Bloom, I've noticed particularly in this episode that her voice is growing up, which I guess will
Oh,
be,
they-
but
Yeah.
I guess they all are, though, because I guess people were commenting on that about the Sweetie Belle 2 weeks ago.
I didn't really notice it so much
yeah.
in that one with her, but I noticed it really quite a lot in this one with Apple Bloom. Just a couple of points. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, her voice is definitely older.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we do see quite a bit of Apple Bloom, and so maybe that's why it's kind of ingrained.
Yeah. Well, that happens sometimes too when this isn't really the case because the CMC have quite a bit of episodes, but sometimes when you have a character that's in the background a little bit and doesn't talk that much, and then suddenly they're required to talk a lot, their voice will change because like the voice actor will get into this kind of zone where it's like you only know the character based on a couple of lines. Big Mac is pretty notorious for that, where because it's so ingrained in our heads with the yep and the nope, whenever he says something different, it always sounds kind of weird, no matter how close it is to his accent.
Yeah.
So sometimes that can happen when voice actors have to do a lot of different lines. It's hard to always keep it in character because you are kind of playing a character, and it's not natural. Like we can say anything because we're all in our own voices, right?
This is my normal voice. What are you talking about?
This is my normal voice.
Sounded like some sort of like coal miner.
Maybe a little.
Been down on these
Still-
mines, see, for 15 years. Made me a bit slow, but that's alright. So
Yeah.
chimeras,
Yeah, chimeras.
Yeah.
I've been waiting
or
for them to come in.
according
Yeah.
to Plutter Guy, chimeras.
Chimera.
I didn't know how to pronounce it, and then I
It's
had to.
chimera.
Yeah.
It's chimera.
Well, to be fair, I didn't until this episode came up and people were talking about it. I didn't really know the formal definition of what a chimera was.
It's an animal
I-
with a head of a goat, a head of a lion, and a head of a snake.
Right. I guess I had a different. I can't really remember. I think in my head I'd done something like halfway in between a manticore and a Cerberus. I don't know what I was envisioning, but when I looked at that, I was just like, oh, well, that's a strange creature, and I didn't associate it with a chimera. But yeah, that's what it was.
It's
Yeah.
not necessarily shown how it was in the episode, but it's usually displayed with the snake as the tail because a snake is long and thin. But it just has to be a creature with the head of a lion, a snake, and a goat.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it makes sense that the snake would be the tail. Yeah.
We were watching it. I was watching it with a friend of mine, or with Silver Rain Clouds. You probably all know her. And it's, it did that blacked out thing. You can just see like the face, and then the other face, and then the other face, and it was instantly just chimera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the way they introduced it was so perfect too, like with that whole thing, because I mean, you're in the flames and stuff like that, and silhouetting. It's just so like epic.
Oh, and chimeras breathe fire. I don't think it came up much.
Oh,
Well,
really?
it kind of came up in regards to
The fact that
the
they were
setting,
in fire,
I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they did that.
I
Maybe
guess
that's why
that
they
might
did
have
it
been
there.
a little. It
Yeah.
might have been a little bit of a shout out to that.
I think it would probably be OP if they started actually breathing fire.
Yeah, well,
Chimera
chimeras
is too OP.
Mythological chimeras
gotta
breathe fire.
nerf the chimera.
Hasbro, please nerf.
Yeah, so Apple Bloom gets trapped between a rock and a hard place, between the fiery setting and the chimera, who wants to eat her and her pies.
Lovely.
Well, her pies first and then her, so,
Excuse me.
They wanted to eat the pies and then have a side. What was it? A side of Philly fillet.
Philly fillet, yeah.
Filet. Yeah, I liked when Applejack came to save her. I enjoy when characters who are played. Sometimes we'll have characters who are played as minor characters, like for example Applejack in this episode, where they are not the focus, but they have they're doing something wrong basically, which is what Applejack was doing. But I like it when they redeem those characters in some sort of way. I like it when they take those characters that are doing something wrong, and then Applejack can still be a really cool pony who comes in and saves the day and stuff, and like it doesn't invalidate the fact that she did something wrong. And it also doesn't just make the entire episode about, oh, look at how wrong this person is. Like Applejack is still, regardless of her mental lapse / motherly tendencies, she's still Applejack, and she still like can handle that situation really awesomely. So I like when they do that with characters. Sometimes I feel like they have a negative character and a positive character, and the negative character is all negative and the positive character is all positive. It's better when there's little bits to both sides. Makes things more even.
I liked the fold-out
definitely.
chair.
Yeah.
That was like it's a good chair because people were like, where the heck did she pull that chair from? And then it unfolded as she pulled it out, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, and it's all the things that she was talking about to Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo.
Yeah, which she
when
needs
was asking
to come
her.
random.
Yeah, it's like, where are you going with this, Applejack?
I like that they
Lion tamer,
went
sure.
with you have to treat each individual head as its own thing as opposed to just defeating a chimera. It's snake taming, it's lion taming, and it's feeding a goat its own cheese.
Yeah.
Which I thought was strange.
Apple Bloom.
Yeah.
Now, Apple Bloom, you have to bring your shotgun no matter where you go. You aim it right between the eyes. Goes
which
down
head?
faster than a sack of potatoes.
Which head, though? And if it's only double barrel, then you've got a third head to worry about.
Now, Flutter Guy. Let me put this into a situation here. If you were a triple Siamese twin, and one of your heads died, I think it might be a little traumatic.
Yeah.
So that might kind of deal with the entire situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's a chimera, though.
Yeah.
It's a mythical creature.
I still thought it was weird that
enough.
Applejack fed the goat its own cheese. Ricotta cheese is
Yeah,
made
that is
from
kinda-
goat's milk.
I didn't even think of that
Well,
until now.
that's how
weird.
is wait. How is that weird?
It's like me eating my own cheese.
It's like you being breastfed. It's like cows eating like it's like how any animal gets nutrients when it's a baby.
When it's a
Like,
baby,
the
yes,
same.
but not when it's... But, I mean, people do the weird... Like, yeah, you know what I mean.
It's weirder that we drink cow's milk than that happens.
Not
That
really.
is kind of.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely
It'd be
is.
weird if we drank our own breast milk.
Anyhow.
I argue that point. But
Anyhow.
anyways.
It was an interesting way to subdue the goat head
It was.
of the chimera. There was one point in the episode where they're talking about, or the chimera is talking about the pies, and it first mentions eating apple bloom, and the snake part kind of goes into this trance thing that really reminded me of the Jungle Book. There's a snake in the Jungle Book called Ka,
Yeah.
who does this like trance thing in the, I don't know, it
And
looked very
the,
familiar.
the wiggly eyes was a shout out to that as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with that was that it was the same effect that was used for Discord.
Yes,
so that's the first thing that I
think
thought
Discord.
of.
That is true, yeah.
And they've used it for like a couple of other things. So
Yeah.
like whenever they need to do like a crazy effect with the eyes, that's what they do. So maybe the original was a reference to the Jungle Book, and it just happened to come out like this. So it kind of came together nicely.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure it's like one of those things that is a kind of universally used in TV and films and stuff like that for anything that like should be hypnotized or whatever. There's like,
Or just hypnotic in general. Yeah.
Yeah, they used the special eyes.
my
That's special
brand.
ones.
I still don't know what that is.
Yeah. It's a commercial for glasses delivery.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or contacts. Sorry. Bleh.
Eh.
Contacts. But yeah, overall the episode, I liked it. It was really self-aware, which can't happen every episode because then it gets old. But every once in a while, it's really funny, and it seemed like this episode was full of it, and did it really well. New writer, so good job
Yeah.
there.
Major props.
There's a lot of new writers this season, but they all seem to be be really good at what they're doing. So good on the people who hired them, and good on them for writing good episodes.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those slice of life episodes, which I always enjoy seeing more of those. Like I do like episodes that kind of progress the plot line or the character development or whatever, but these are just fun. And
They
there's
have a good combination.
Yeah. Also, the scene at the end, just really quickly, because we're kind of running short on time a little bit. They deliver the pies through the Chimera's labyrinth. Well, not really labyrinth, but like maze of fire. And they deliver it to this kind of backwater swamp town thing, and there's just one of the funniest lines in here. It's when they're talking about their mama's what was it?
Swamp casserole.
Yeah, swamp water casserole, and it just like pans over to this older pony, and then you hear like, "Oh, mama, I didn't mean that."
Oh, mama, don't be like that.
Yeah.
In the background. It's just like, it's so self-aware. Normally the show would be like, they would mention the casserole, and then a pony in the background would be like super sad about it. But then it's like it's like super self-aware about what's going on. So you've got this pony in the background. I love the way that they like pulled it away from the microphone too, so it's like they're really far away. So it was like this. It was like, "Oh, mama, don't be like that." It was great.
So good.
It was great.
Yeah. So overall, enjoyable episode. So thank you guys for watching the Spoilercast. Be sure to tune in next week for Cutie Art Crusaders and for our next Spoilercast of MLP Season 4, Episode 18. And until then, my name is Flutterguy317.
My name is Rainbow Plasma.
I'm Atmos Spark.
And I wanted to mention one more thing because we just did the ice episode, and we totally forgot to talk about this at all. And I'm so sorry for this, but I just wanted to mention it. Winter is coming.
Good night, everyone.
Hodor.
Hodor!